on, family? It is Stick Chick Vlogs. I am going to attempt to do a car vlog today, but I'm going to call it a paranormal vlog while I'm driving, and I'm not holding the camera. As you can see, I'm bagging out of my apartment, but I have a mount here on my windshield. I'm going to hope that it doesn't shake entirely too bad, but you guys can always feel free to listen to me and not necessarily watch me. You know, I'm kind of the type of channel, I say this all the time, I'm the type of channel that you would rather listen to than watch, because I mean, I'm just a shit talker or whatever. So if it gets to shaking too bad, feel free to go ahead and watch me. I mean, I'm sorry, listen to me and don't necessarily watch me. Does that make sense? Anyway, like I said, I'm gonna call this a paranormal vlog, kind of in lieu of Halloween. I decided to come and share a couple of stories with you guys. Now, originally I wasn't going to talk about this type of stuff because it is kind of, you know, freaky to me, and once I got out of the situation, I really didn't want to even address it to kind of, you know, bring back up those memories. But when if you guys remember, I mentioned to you guys that I was living downtown, and downtown Tuscaloosa is like a historic district or whatever, and every building down there is super duper old. Okay, everything down there is old as shit. So the building that I was living in, which was an apartment complex, the one that I told you guys where we had to swipe the key, and you know, it was kind of like apartments inside of a building. So I ended up finding out that the building used to be a plantation house. That I'm not sure if it housed the actual slaves or the workers, or if it was actually the house for the owners or whatever like that. I'm not really sure. But when you saw the house, I noticed everybody who used to come to my house, the first thing that they used to say was like, damn, this is a plantation house. And I'm thinking, okay, it's just the look of it. The way that it looks, it did look like a plantation house. So I wasn't necessarily thinking anything of it when I first moved in there. Because like I said, when I first moved in there, I was 17 years old. And I was just trying to get my first apartment. You know what I'm saying? It was for a decent price at that particular time. So I went ahead and took it. So I moved into the apartment. Now, when I first moved into the apartment, nothing weird or anything like that was happening. But as time progressed, I noticed, like, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of sleep paralysis. And what sleep paralysis is, at least for me, when I used to fall asleep, especially if I fell asleep late at night, I would wake up every night between 2 and 4. But when I used to wake up, I used to wake up, but I wasn't awake, if you kind of understand what I'm saying. I would be laying in the bed, awake, but I couldn't move. It was like, you know, they call it, I don't know about where you live, but here in Alabama, you know, the old folks, they call it the witch riding your back or whatever. That's what they pretty much called it, you know, just like an old folks saying whatever. But I used to lay in the bed and I couldn't move at all. I would even try to scream and I couldn't scream. And I noticed, like, it happened at least a couple of times per week. And I used to be, you know, it got to the point where I kind of got used to it, but it got to a point where I used to even be scared to even fall asleep or whatever. So, and I also noticed, like, when I would go down my parents' house or when I would spend the night at someone else's house, it didn't happen. You know what I'm saying? So that was a little peculiar as well. So I was a little freaked out about that. I know it's shaking a little bit, family. Like I said, feel free to watch me, and I mean, listen to me and not necessarily watch me, because I know it might get a little jumpy or whatever. Also, so that was happening or whatever. I noticed that. But like I said, I understood that a lot of times I would eat before I went to sleep. And I know that's one of the things that they tell you not to do, is eat before you go to sleep, because it can make your sleep paralysis a little bit stronger than others. Now, everybody doesn't have sleep paralysis. If you don't know what it is, I want you to Google it, and you will definitely see what sleep paralysis is. But like I said, it didn't happen when I wasn't at my apartment. So this guy had come over my house one time, and he was kind of like, damn, you know, again, this is one of them old time plantation houses, because the house was over, I don't know, it had to be probably 200 years old. I don't know, it was an old ass building. I mean, to this day right here, I probably wouldn't move back over there, because it was probably full of asbestos and all type of shit. But it was, you know, it was historic downtown, and it was near the bars and everything. It was popular. It was a popular district or whatever. So this one particular night, I was, you know, fell asleep. I actually didn't want to go to sleep this night, because I already knew it was late at night, and I already knew when I fell asleep, I was going to go through this sleep paralysis shit. So when I fell asleep, bam, boom, bam, thank you, ma'am, it happened. So 2 o'clock in the morning, I end up waking up, and it used to be the same time every night, between 2 and 4 o'clock. I would wake up with this sleep paralysis shit and not be able to move. And this particular night, it was kind of like, I was awake, like I said, I'd be laying in the bed, but it's like I can't move. And it's like I saw this black shadow thing, like in the corner of the room. And it's kind of like I felt my body raise up off the bed. Now, all of this while I'm having the sleep paralysis. Like, you know, I don't know if I was fucking dreaming or if the shit happened for real. All I can tell you is when you have sleep paralysis, you feel everything. I don't know if the shit is, you know, you are 50% awake or 50% sleep. I'm not really sure. But I was laying in the bed and it felt like my body like lifted up off the bed, and it was like I was just floating across the room, but I was trying to stop because I didn't want to get near this black mass shit that was in the corner, you know what I'm saying? So I'm kind of like, I'm trying to stop myself, but like I said, when you have sleep paralysis, it's like you're paralyzed. You can't fucking move. So my body's like floating across the room towards this damn black shadow thing, and all of a sudden the door like flies open. Bang! You know, the door flies open. It's like I'm floating down the stairs, and as I'm floating down the stairs, you know, like I said, the apartment building is inside of another building. Like, okay, I'm trying to explain it. The way the apartment building was set up, like I said, you had to swipe the key and you had to walk inside, and all of the apartments were inside of the apartment complex, inside of the building. So as I'm floating down the stairs and all this type of stuff, I noticed that it looks like ghosts and shit are coming out of the apartments, like they're trying to get me. I don't know what the fuck all this shit means. So I'm floating down the stairs or whatever, and I get to the bottom of the stairs, and I notice there's like these ghost looking people. I don't know what the fuck they were. It was kind of like, I don't know, they were black people. So I don't know if it was like I said, it was a plantation house or whatever. So I don't know if it was fucking the slaves or what the fuck it was, but I noticed when they saw me that they kind of just like, you know, they moved out of the way so I can like float outside or whatever, which was weird in itself. So I'm floating outside, and as I'm floating outside, something is pulling me back into the fucking building. Like I said, the shit was all fucking creepy, and all of this is why, while I can't do anything, I'm basically sitting there trying to scream, but I can't. You know what I'm saying? So it was really, really weird. And I told the juice man about this, and hold on, let me pump my gas and I'll be back to finish the rest of my story. I am back. I don't know where the fuck I left off with the story at. But long story short, as I was floating felt like I was floating out of the building, and it was like some shit was pulling me back in. And I don't know how the hell it happened or what happened, but I ended up back in the room or whatever. Like I felt like I was back in my fucking body, but again, I couldn't fucking move. You know what I'm saying? Then all of a sudden my alarm went off work, because if you guys remember in my creepy catfish story, I told you guys that I was working for the inventory company. So I used to have to get up sometimes 3-4 o'clock in the morning, you know. So my alarm went off, and that was the only way that I kind of like woke up. And when you wake up, it kind of feels really, really weird. It's kind of like I don't know. It's just really weird. If you've never had sleep paralysis, it's kind of hard to explain. Like I said, it's like you're awake, but you can't move. You can't scream. You can't do anything, okay? You can't call for help or anything. So it's kind of like you're just laying there, and you can see everything, all this shit happening, and you just kind of like, you're trying to scream, but you can't. So I wake up, and like I said, that was one of the worst experiences that I had as far as sleep paralysis is concerned. I've never had an experience that bad while I was living there. And when I tell y'all, I was so scared to stay there after that. But of course I did, because like I said, I just felt like it was just a situation that was going on with the, you know, me having sleep paralysis or whatever. I didn't really understand, but I did. It was kind of weird, because I noticed, okay, you only have this shit that happens when you're here. You know, when you go over your sister's house, you're fine. When you go to your mom's house, you're fine. The only time you go through this shit is when you are in this damn apartment. So when I first started talking to the juice man, he had came over there. He knew I was really, really scary. And I had, at this particular time, I had mentioned to him about the shit that used to go on as far as the sleep paralysis and all this stuff. And one day he had caught himself. He was about to tell me something. He was like, no, I'm not going. He said, I'm not going to tell you. And I'm like, what? He was like, I'm not going to tell you. He said, because I know it'll probably scare you. I was like, well, go go ahead and fucking tell me if it's something that I need to know. He was like, are you fucking sure? You know, are you sure that you want me to fucking tell you? And I'm like, yes. He was like, I ain't gonna tell you no lie. He said, when I was asleep last night, he said, I saw like shadows standing in your kitchen. I was like, what? He was like, yeah, I saw shadows standing in your kitchen while we were asleep. He said, I laid there for a while and I kind of like looked. He said, they were just standing there. He said, they weren't moving or nothing. They were just standing in your kitchen. I'm like, what the fuck? Now, let me tell you a little bit something about the Juice Man. The Juice Man, he sees shadow figures. I don't know if, I don't think we've ever talked about that. I'm probably going to try to get him on camera one day so he can talk about that. He has one of those gifts or whatever the fuck you want to call it. That ain't no fucking gift if you ask me. That's a motherfucking curse. Being able to see dead folks and shit. I don't want to see no goddamn dead folks. You dead. I miss you, but stay the fuck dead, okay? That shit scares the fuck out of me. I'm sorry. I know some people are a little bit different and they might feel like, oh yeah, I would want to see my family and all this type of stuff. A lie. Well, Thick Chick Vlogs don't want to see no motherfucking ghosts, okay? I'm just telling you like this. They can come to your house. How about that? We can go ahead on and recruit them to come to your shit, but they don't need to come to Thick Chick Vlogs motherfucking house, okay? So, but the Juice Man sees like shadow figures and shit. Let me tell you some shit about him, but like, hold on, let me get back to the story, because y'all know I get off track in a motherfucking minute. But he was like, yeah, I saw little shadow figures in your kitchen. He said, I wasn't gonna say that because I didn't want to scare you. He said, but I'm gonna tell you the truth, every time I come over here, I see them motherfuckers. He said, they not always in the kitchen, but I always see these little shadow figures, but it was only at night. And also there was, in that same apartment complex, there was a guy who lived there who hung himself. He was a white guy. He wasn't black or anything. He was a white guy. When I tell you, he was super duper sweet. Every time I saw that man, he had a smile on his face. Like, there never was a dull moment with this guy. I mean, he could be outside smoking a cigarette and you could be having a bad day. He'll just sit there and make you laugh. But he ended up hanging himself in that apartment. But that was after the fact that I was having all this sleep paralysis shit. It wasn't necessarily anything, you know, that happened like immediately after he hung himself or whatever. This shit was happening prior to that. And like I said, he's always telling me he used to see the shadow figures, but he never did say anything because he didn't want to scare me, because he knew half of the time I was there by myself or whatever. So of course it freaked me the fuck out. So naturally, again, I didn't want to stay there. So, you know, I kind of tried to keep it out of my mind and just stay with the fact that, okay, you leave here every day in the middle of the night, so you're not really gonna be here while it's dark or whatever. So that's that little story about when I was staying in that apartment. Like I said, I never really had any weird experiences. I did used to have stuff like, I would know for a fact, like when I would go to work, and I would know for a fact that I would leave, like my TV would be off when I leave for work. I come back, like the TV would be on, or I know I cut the lights off, you know, and I come back and the lights would be on. One day I had came back, the water in my kitchen was running, you know, just weird little shit like that. But like I said, the only time I saw these little shadow figure things was when I had that sleep paralysis, when I was, you know, asleep or whatever. I never had it when I was awake. I never saw the shadow things when I was awake or anything like that. But like I said, he said he would actually see the things when we would be sleeping. So thank God I never saw anything like that. But they said that building was it used to be a plantation house. Like I said, I don't know if it housed the actual slaves or if it was the, you know, the slave masters or whatever that used to be in the house. Now, remind you guys, I live in Alabama, so this type of shit is not uncommon here in Alabama for someone to, you know, for it to be a plantation house that used to house slaves or whatever. I mean, and the way the building was set up, it kind of did look like a plantation house, and the way that it looked, it kind of did look like a plantation house. Now, just, you know what I might do, I might put that picture as my thumbnail so you guys can see the building that I'm talking about, or I might insert the picture right here. That's probably what I'm going to do. I'm going to insert the picture of the building right here. So yes, that is a picture of the building. Super creepy, right? I don't know. It just kind of looks kind of peculiar to me, but that is where I used to live, downtown. And like I said, it was, you know, historic district or whatever. It wasn't anything super fancy, but it was pretty, hell, the shit was expensive as a motherfucker, because it was, you know, it was a historic landmark, and it was in the middle of downtown near the bars and all that type of shit. But that's where I used to fucking live, you know. Super creepy. I know. But moving on, super information. Let me tell you a little bit about the Juice Man since we're on paranormal stories or whatever. So the Juice Man was living in a house in Tuscaloosa, and like I said, he has that little type of gift shit where he can see like shadow figures and spirits and all that type of shit. The shit be freaking me the fuck out, because like I said, I don't want him bringing none of that shit around me, you know what I'm saying? But he doesn't, you know, he said he doesn't necessarily see them anymore, so that's a great thing. I hope the motherfucker ain't lying to me. He just don't want to freak me the fuck out, you know what I'm saying? But when he was living downtown, he used to tell me all the time, like, he didn't really sleep. He said because they used to continuously fuck with him. He said not a bad type of, you know, thing, but he said it used to be a little stuff like he'd be sitting there watching TV, and in the kitchen, one of the cabinets in the kitchen would just open, you know, just open. And he said he would just kind of like sit there like he's ignoring it or whatever. And I guess they would kind of get pissed off, like, you ignoring me, motherfucker. So he said like the thing in the bathroom would like open, you know, just randomly fucking open until he acknowledges it, until he gets the fuck up and goes in there and closes it. He said he never actually saw anything, but he said I used to do little stuff like that, open drawers and all that type of shit, which is super duper creepy. And I don't, you know, I don't fuck, like I said, I told you guys before, I don't fuck around with the paranormal shit, because back in the back day, there was this place, like I told you guys in a previous vlog, back in the back day, there was a road in Northport, Alabama, that was down by a church. You go down past the church, you flash your lights 2-3 times, and the woods would light up green and all that shit. That shit actually happened, okay? The shit actually fucking happened. Like I said, you guys, I don't fuck around with the ghosts and all that type of shit, because I know that the shit is 100% real. I do not fuck around with it, because I was watching this show and they actually said that if you fucking with the demonic spirit or whatever, that shit could follow you to your home. That's why this Halloween, they have this thing called what the fuck is it? Oh my god, something about merciful something. It's like it's a haunted house, but it's not a real haunted house. It's one of those haunted houses where, you know, they have the actors who jump out at you and all this type of shit. I would actually go to one of those, but I wouldn't fuck around with a real live haunted house. Like they have those, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the 13 Ghosts of Alabama. They have like 13 places here in Alabama that are like true, like real hardcore haunted. It's this building in Tuscaloosa, I forgot what they call it. I'll try to put everything in the description box if I remember. There's this place here, I forgot exactly what it's called, but there was this guy who used to be a pastor, used to be like a church, and the guy ended up dying, and the wife wanted them to burn candles at the man's funeral, and they ended up not burning candles or some shit like that, but she ended up dying. It was a big old hallelujah ass mess. She ended up burning candles or some shit, and the place ended up catching on fire or something like that. Like I said, I don't know the exact story, I don't want to lie, but I know for a fact that even still to this day in that building, of course, they boarded it up and all that type of stuff, because the homeless people used to go in there. But it was stories from homeless people. They said every time they would go in there, they would, you know, sense this spirit, and they would see the spirit of a lady. They said they never saw a man, but they used to see a spirit of a lady, which I'm assuming was the man's wife. She was kind of pissed off because she wanted them to do something specific for, no, I know what it was. They burned candles at her husband's funeral. He had his funeral in the house, because like I said, it used to be a church, but they used to live in there as well. She died, and she told them, make sure you burn candles at my funeral as well. They didn't do that, so I guess they kind of pissed her off or whatever. So I noticed a lot of times the police department here, they actually interviewed the police department for that book 13 Ghosts of Alabama. They interviewed not the police department, the fire department. They said they get false alarms to that place all the time, where people actually see smoke coming out of the place. So, you know, they go there and they thinking they finna put out a fucking fire, and it's nothing. They go in there, there's no smoke, there's no nothing, but they can smell what smells like smoke, but there's nothing nowhere to be found, which is, you know, I'm assuming the ghost of this lady basically you know, making her fucking mark, letting people know, bitch, I'm still here. You know what I'm saying? So that shit kind of creeps me out. My dad also told me about he actually saw his father once He said he was a little boy. My dad's father died when he was 12 years old. And he said one day he was out playing in the yard or whatever. And he said he looked up and there was like a chair sitting on my grandmother's porch, which was my dad's mom, my grandfather's wife, sitting on the porch. And he said he looked up and he saw his daddy sitting on the porch with his leg crossed reading the newspaper. So, you know, granted, my daddy said he lost his dad when he was 12 years old. So granted, the first thing that he thought to do was run to him, you know. I guess my dad is the type of person, the shit didn't freak him out or whatever. He just, the only thing he wanted to do was run to his daddy and hug him. So he said by the time he turned back around to run, he was gone. It's just family. I know it's Halloween and All Hallows Eve and all this type of shit, but when I tell you ghosts are nothing to play with, as far as do I believe in ghosts? Yes, 150,000%, which is one reason why I like watching, I don't know why the fuck I like watching all these haunted, you know, ghost stories and all this type of stuff, but I do, especially knowing that I be at the house by myself at night. But ever since that I moved out of that apartment, I have never had, I haven't had sleep paralysis since. Like, I've been perfectly fine. I haven't had sleep paralysis not one time since I left that apartment, which is kind of eerie. It almost makes me think that it was, you know, some shit there that was, you know, I don't know, I'm not gonna say trying to take over my body or whatever, but shit, the shit was kind of weird that while I was living there, I had this really, really bad sleep paralysis, like almost every fucking night. I had this sleep paralysis, and now that I've moved, even when I moved to the apartment that I moved to before this one, the one where I told you I had the nosy racist neighbor or whatever, even when I was living there, I didn't have sleep paralysis. I only had the sleep paralysis when I was living in this motherfucking quote-unquote plantation house looking shit. You know what I'm saying? But that is my paranormal story, the shit that has happened to me as far as being paranormal or whatever. What I want you guys to do for me is in the comment section below, let me know if you have ever had any paranormal experience. If you have, let me know what your paranormal experience was. Also, if you believe in ghosts, spirits, or whatever, if you believe that some people that have passed on are still here on earth, evil spirits, good spirits, you know, sometimes people believe that a lot of people who have passed on are still here on earth as angels and things like that. Let me know your thoughts and all this type of stuff on ghosts, what old people call them here in Alabama, hanks, that type of shit. Oh, I have another, I need to tell y'all this right quick. Why did this man pull over in front of me that close? Really? Motherfuck you. Anyway, but my grandmother said she had a friend a long time ago. Of course, my grandmother dead and gone, been dead for damn near 20 years, okay? She said she had a friend. The lady had died. She said every night, my grandma she used to drink. When I say my grandma was a drinker, boo-boo. She said every night her and the lady used to, you know, they used to drink or whatever, and they used to walk home together because they lived down the same, you know, little, I guess same neighborhood or whatever. So when they used to drink or whatever, they used to walk home together because to be in the middle of the night or whatever. So she said the lady, you know, died or whatever, and she was walking home one night. I guess once the lady died, my grandmother, she still was doing the same shit that she was doing, but at this particular time, you know, the woman was dead. So grandmama said she was walking home, and she said all of a sudden she felt like this, she said it was super duper cold, like super cold. No, it was cold or warm. She said it was cold or warm. I don't want to lie on my grandmama. It was either cold or warm. She said she felt this really, really cold or warm sensation, and she said she just took off running. She said as she took off running, it was just like it was attached to her side, and she said she really does and honestly and truly believe that that was her friend who had passed on, who was basically walking home with her. And you know, they do say, you know, when a spirit is, you know, still in this, well, when a spirit is trying to make itself known, it is a warm or a cold sensation. So she really does think that that was her friend kind of letting her know, I'm here with you. I'm here with you. I'm walking home with you just like we used to do. So I thought that was a really creepy ass story that she used to tell me back in the back day. Also, my grandfather, my mom and my dad, not my mom and dad, my mom and my uncles and her sisters and everything, they used to actually have a house. Like I said, I'm in Alabama, so we country as shit. They used to have a house that was like kind of in the graveyard. It wasn't actually sitting in the middle of the graveyard, but it was kind of in the same area, you know, as the graveyard. Like this is their house. Right next to it is the graveyard. My grandfather went out into the graveyard one night to hunt. You know, back in the day, shit, they ate raccoons, squirrels, and all that type of shit. And you know, they had chickens running around in the yard that they actually killed and ate. That's what the fuck they used to eat back in the day, you know, back in the 50s and shit. So my granddaddy said he was out there hunting or whatever, and he actually shot a raccoon, or what the fuck he thought was a raccoon. He said that motherfucker got bigger and bigger, and of course he took off the fucking running. He didn't stand around to wait to see what the fuck the damn shit was gonna turn into. Motherfuckers might not believe me, but this is true motherfucking stories. So like I said, in the comment section below, let me know your paranormal experiences or everything like that. Let me know, do you believe in ghosts? All that type of shit. What are you planning on doing for Halloween? Do you celebrate Halloween? Do you not celebrate Halloween? I don't celebrate Halloween, but I think it's a, it's a cool holiday to just have some fun, get some candy, and go to a little, haunted house or whatever, and just have fun. So leave your comments in the comment section below, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Happy Halloween. Bye.